This is LWT, now the world news from ITN.
Good evening, welcome to ITN. Tonight's headlines. Police hunt robbers who raided the Royal Jewellers and escaped an armed siege. Ulster Unionists warn Mr Major they may bring down the government. And no close encounter between America's shuttle and Russia's space station. An armed gang is on the run tonight after what police described as a professional and determined raid on the Queen's Jewellers. 70 police officers, some of them armed, had surrounded Garrards in London's Regent Street for 5 hours, believing the robbers were inside. When they stormed the building, they discovered the men had already got away. They'd taken gems worth £250,000 with them.
The armed gang, described by police as very professional and determined, got into the Queen's Jewellers in the heart of London through a back door. One robber was dressed as a policeman.
The bogus police officer produced a handgun. They bound, tied, blindfolded the two members of staff who had entered. They were able to obtain from the staff keys which opened a safe in the basement of the premises.
Within minutes, the alarm had been raised. Heavily armed police teams sped into the area as more than 70 officers, some from stations just a few hundred yards away, surrounded the building. One eyewitness said that in the confusion, one of the security guards who'd managed to break free was arrested by mistake.
And a man came out of the back door with a bandage around his head and told me to go and phone the police. So I ran down to the phone box, and by the time I got through to the police, van and car had already pulled up and arrested him. But apparently he was a security guard.
Police laid siege to the empty building for more than 5 hours. However, the robbers are believed to have fled within 15 minutes in a Volvo estate car. Tonight, the managing director of Garrard said the haul included a diamond tiara and several brooches.
The value is not significantly high, but we believe it's in the region of £200,000.
Britain's royal family, indeed royalty worldwide, brings priceless state and private collections to Garrards for cleaning and repairs. The company will not reveal who owns the stolen jewellery. However, a spokesman for the Norwegian royal family has told ITN that, contrary to some suggestions, it's not part of the country's crown jewels. They are safely locked away in Norway. Tim Wilcox, ITN in central London.
The leader of the Ulster Unionists has threatened to withdraw his party's support for the government in the Commons, despite John Major's attempts to reassure him over the future of Northern Ireland. James Molyneux has told constituency parties to prepare for a general election if the government goes ahead with plans for all Ireland cross-border authorities.
Jim Molyneux's decision to put his Ulster Unionist party on an election footing is the clearest indication that the Prime Minister's failed to reassure him about the future of Northern Ireland. If his MPs withdraw support from the Tories at Westminster, it could mean a general election. Unionists fear that ministers intend to give Dublin more influence in Ulster, with new cross-border bodies leading to Northern Ireland's absorption into the Republic.
If this government brings forward proposals which we regard as being hostile to the maintenance of the Union, we will have to withdraw support from them, whether we like it or not. And then, because of the present state in the House, it's possible that could lead to an election.
But the Unionists' Conservative allies say their fears are groundless.
One just has to ask, I think, the government now to back that up by, again, talking to the Ulster Unionist parties to try and calm them down.
And despite warmer relations between the Unionists and Labour, the Shadow Ulster Secretary visiting Belfast today says Labour won't exploit the situation.
Faced with a choice between the peace process and an election, I would have to back the peace process.
The Unionists in Parliament have considerable power. With Tory rebels outside the party, the government's technically 5 short of an overall majority, which could put a future vote of confidence in peril. It's because parliamentary votes are so unpredictable that ministers will this week seek to regain the confidence of the Unionists. But given that London's determined to pursue a joint strategy with Dublin, it's hard to see how the Unionists can be brought on board again. John Draper, ITN, Westminster.
A health trust will tomorrow take legal action against a couple unless they return a needle they claim was left inside their baby when he was discharged from hospital. The Royal Cornwall Hospitals Trust says it wants Steve and Andrea Jones to return the needle for an independent investigation. This report by James Bays.
Benjamin Jones was born prematurely on Christmas Day. A week after he was discharged from the Treliske Hospital in Truro, his parents say they found this 1.5-inch hypodermic needle coming out of the baby's back. They believe it had been left inside Benjamin's body, and then slowly and painfully it worked its way out. Steve and Angela Jones planned to get an expert to carry out a forensic examination of the needle, and they were shocked when the hospital demanded it back.
It was bad enough finding the needle to begin with, and then having all of this, heaped on top of us as well. It's just awful.
I just couldn't believe that they would do something like that. I mean, after all, we're the innocent party here trying to sort something out on Ben's behalf, and yet they're being totally aggressive towards us, and we were just appalled and horrified by the whole situation.
The family have now instructed an expert in medical injuries to act for them. The Royal Cornwall Hospitals Trust has issued a statement saying they want the needle so it can be examined by experts. They say the refusal of the parents to hand it over is delaying an inquiry into the incident. The Trust is planning to get a writ if they don't have the needle by midday tomorrow. James Bays, ITN, Truro.
50 animal rights protesters have staged a demonstration at the home of the Tory MP for Hexham, who in the House of Commons last week helped to block a bill to ban livestock exports. Some of the protesters climbed on the roof of Peter Atkinson's home, although he wasn't in at the time. No one was arrested. The manager of Birmingham City Football Club has confirmed that the side's goalkeeper Ian Bennett was offered money to ensure his side lost a cup replay last month. Barry Fry immediately told the Football Association, which has asked the police to investigate. Match-rigging claims against Bruce Grobbelaar are already under police investigation.
In this weekend's meeting between Birmingham City and Stockport, Ian Bennett was once again in the City goal. But it was an FA Cup replay against Liverpool that Bennett says was the subject of the attempted bribe. At the club's training ground, he says two men, posing as journalists from Singapore, offered him £20,000 to ensure a Liverpool win. He went straight to the team manager.
There's many strange things happening in football at the moment, and I just put it down to one of those things, but the sooner we clear the game up, the better for everybody in football, I feel.
Bruce Grobbelaar, the Southampton goalkeeper, is already under police investigation after being accused of match fixing. And West Midlands Police have confirmed that they've been in touch with Birmingham City officials. At a time when football's been dogged by so much controversy, today's news is just one more problem for the men who run the game. Nick Walsh, ITN, Birmingham.
Staying with football, Tottenham prevented Blackburn moving 5 points clear at the top of the Premiership with a 3-1 win at White Hart Lane this afternoon. Tottenham's German forward Jurgen Klinsmann opened the scoring in the first half with a shot through the keeper's legs. Spurs made sure of the points with a Nick Barmby header. They're now 6th in the Premiership. Cricket, England are struggling to save the final test against Australia despite highest test scores from Graham Thorpe and Mark Ramprakash. England avoided the follow-on at Perth, but going into the fourth day, Australia have a lead of 194 with 8 wickets still intact.
On the day, Mike Gatting's retirement from international cricket signalled the end of the road for the old guard. The next generation gave us another pointer to the England of the future. Thorpe and Ramprakash took the Aussies on and hit them all round the ground. Thorpe soon became England's top scorer in this Ashes series, and he wasn't to be denied his second Test century. Ramprakash was saved from serious injury by his helmet after a dramatic incident when he was struck by Glenn McGrath, but he recovered to reach a vital 50. Thorpe threw his wicket away with the partnership on 158. It sparked a collapse with 6 wickets going down for just 60 runs. Mike Atherton, though, refuses to believe this match is lost, and he showed why to account for Slater. But Australia very much in the driving seat with a lead of 194. Stuart Pike, ITN, Perth.
Finally, it should have been a close encounter tomorrow for the American shuttle Discovery and the Russian space station Mir. Now, though, the planned rendezvous is in jeopardy. The shuttle, whose crew includes a Briton, Michael Foale, is leaking fuel. The Russians fear it could endanger their station and have ordered the shuttle not to come too close.
The shuttle with British astronaut Michael Foale on board has been leaking from tip to toe. Fuel pouring into space from faulty steering jets. The crew has stopped one leak and is confident the other will stop.
The leak we had in the back began right after main engine cutoff, and the leak rate is gradually slowing down, and we hope by tomorrow the leak will be totally gone.
Russia is worried that America's leaking shuttle could damage its aging space station Mir. They were due to come within 30 feet of one another. It may now be 400.
Mike Fole and myself were doing some thruster firings.
Michael Fole at the back on the left is still scheduled this week to become the first ever Briton to walk in space. Today the astronauts answered a question from a class of 8-year-olds in Devon about the effect of the shuttle flight on the ozone layer.
We believe, as astronauts, part of our job is to help with the environment, and the benefits of going to space and being able to study the Earth from space far outweigh the small amount, almost really negligible, of impact to the local environment.
Spewing fuel, the shuttle is now in hot pursuit of its target, the space station. Bill Neely, ITN in the United States.
And that's all from the weekend news team here at ITN. Good night.
Hello, good evening. It's been a grey old day today, and tonight will be overcast with some drizzly rain in places, but it is at least mild. Tomorrow will be mild too, with the north of Scotland seeing the only real rain. You know, it really is much warmer than it should be in February, thanks to very warm southwesterly winds coming up from way down near the Azores. And it's meant that our temperatures have compared favourably with the best of them in Europe, really. Most places just around 10 to 12, as you see there. There are always places that do better and a few that do a lot worse as well, but our temperatures much higher than they would normally be in February. A mild night tonight, no problems with frost or anything like that, just a few spots of rain, but still a lot of cloud around, and that's how tomorrow starts. Grey skies for most of us, as you see there, spots of rain in the northwest, but more of a chance tomorrow that the clouds will gradually break up and there'll be a few sunny spells to enjoy during the afternoon. In the northwest of Scotland, though, it's a different story. Thicker cloud coming through there later in the day with some heavier bursts of rain. Quite windy day tomorrow, a breezy day for us all, windy in the north, but mild everywhere. A top temperature of 13, it's 55. In the north, 11, even where it's grey and windy. Here's a summary.
Powergen, electricity for homes and industry, whatever the weather.
Tomorrow, GMTV is live from the front line at Coventry and Shoreham as we speak to the family of animal rights campaign victim Jill Phipps. And we're first with pictures of Di's visit to Japan as she once again takes her place on the international stage. GMTV and the land of the rising sun tomorrow.
Good evening. We're in for a cloudy night in most places, but there won't be much in the way of drizzle. The low 8 Celsius, 46 Fahrenheit, so it's going to feel rather mild, but we'll get a rather fresh southwesterly wind as well. Tomorrow then, those winds remaining rather constant and temperatures edging up to around 11 Celsius, 52 Fahrenheit by midday. And during the afternoon, well, there's not much change. Apart from that, we might just get a chink or two of sunshine. The high 13 Celsius, that's 55 Fahrenheit. Those winds varying to the west and staying constant at around 20 miles per hour. Bye-bye.
For the latest news affecting disabled Londoners, look up Disability Action on LWT 600+.
You're watching LWT. Now meet 4 classic widows in this week's edition of the South Bank Show.